Hi, my name is Katrina McPhee, or Kat McPhee. I am the Chief of Staff and the Group Executive for Communications and Advocacy at Aware Super. I have been in and around finance and superannuation for the best part of 15 years now, but before that I had a bit of a time in financial planning. And to be honest, my first career was actually in nursing, which was really interesting. So I've had a bit of a wayward journey, but it's all anchored around a real love of humans and making a real difference. So superannuation is not scary, I promise. At its absolute most basic, it's a savings account, and it's an account that's set aside for you for when you retire. So it's an account that you might have for 30, 40 years, and then it becomes your way of living and funding what you want to do post-work, and gives you choices then. And it's really important because it does allow you to have freedom of choice when you choose not to work, and whenever that might be. And allows you to live the life that you deserve after you've had a big career. And it's incredibly important for everybody, in particular for women and young women, women of any age, because it allows you to have choice when in retirement and do the things that you love doing. My tip for young women is that time is money. And if you've got the ability to take control of your finances now, do it. It is so important to start early and do whatever you can. So if we think about this, if a 25-year-old today put just $10 a week into their superannuation account, by the time they get to retirement, that's worth about 120 grand, thereabouts. It's common for me to hear young women go, well, I just don't have the money now, or I'll wait until I'm 45. If you wait until you're 45, that same woman would have to put $50 a week in every week to get to the same result. So that's 150% more of your money, rather than starting early and just using time and the benefit of investing over time to do the hard work for you. So my tip is definitely start today. It's not scary. It is quite simple. There's lots of tools online. I know we have lots of tools online. You can jump on. It takes about 2 minutes, and $10 a week. You won't miss it. Now, for those of us who potentially don't have the same amount of years to enjoy, what I would say is the same thing. Can you please just do something today? I had a little time as a financial planner, and I actually specialised in female school principals. And the amount of times that I heard, gosh, I just really wish I did this earlier, was profound. But also, there was always a deep sense of shame that came from these women. There was a shame of, or like an embarrassment about things that have happened in the past, or the situation that they might be in. They might have gone through a divorce. They might have taken time out for their careers. And there was almost this, I don't have enough. I don't want to talk to somebody. No one will want to talk to me. And I think the word of advice that I would give is, and it was a famous quote by one of the first African-American tennis players, Arthur Ashe, which was, start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can, and just forgive yourself what's happened in the past. You can't change it. So do something today, stop ignoring it, get it off the to-do list, and go and see somebody. The reason I got into financial planning, and then why I joined Industry Super, was, to be honest, I was at one point helping people with millions of dollars, and I had a moment where I sat there and went, my advice, whilst it makes a difference, doesn't really change their life. When I entered into Industry Super, I was seeing women that had 50 grand in their super, 100 grand in their super, and the advice that I gave really did make a difference, and it gave me joy to do that. So just know that if you're feeling like you don't have enough in your account to go see someone, you're exactly the person that we want to see. There are many myths about superannuation. The first one is that it's really complicated and hard. And I guess coming to it for the first time, it'll definitely feel that way. But there's always one small step that you can make, whether it be choosing a good super fund and just getting everything into one spot is an amazing first step. And then if you choose the right fund, and that should be someone who offers you great returns, has good fees, so low fees, but also offers you help in the way that you want help. And that allows you then to take the next step. And it might be thinking about your insurance in super. It might be thinking about how your money is invested. And just make sure that that fund can offer you a little help in the right moment. Don't try and tackle it all at once. Just take one step, and then the next one will be really obvious for you. So it's not hard. It just requires you to do the next thing. I think the other common misconception about super is traditionally finance has always been thought of as a very male-dominated industry. But what's interesting, at Aware Super, we actually skew heavily female. So we have well over 50% of our staff, I think it's around 55, 60% of our staff are actually female. I work in a very blessed organisation that has been focused on gender equality for a very long time. So we have equal representation at board, we have a female CEO, equal representation in our senior leader cohort, and we are working very hard on some of those more traditional, I guess, occupations within super. If you think about technology, you think about investments, and you think about financial advice, tend to be a little bit more male-dominated. But there are organisations out there that are really focused on equality of all, in particular gender representation and the power of that in helping our members and having a really good, robust organisation. The other reason why Aware Super is so passionate about gender equality is actually 67% of our members are female. So we are very focused on things like the gender pay gap. We are focused on things like caring for the caring community. Our members are healthcare workers, teachers, public servants. They're also fireys and police and those who care for our community. So we are very focused on making sure that they have a retirement system that really supports them to have those choices that we talked about earlier in retirement. The gender pay gap and the outcome at retirement is intrinsically linked. The single biggest determinant of how you will live in retirement is the wage that you earn over your career. So that is impacted by a number of things, but the number one, the one that we really need to address is obviously the gender pay gap. So a 10 to 12% gap over the life of your career could end up being a 30% gap in what you have when you retire. So that's that power of time again. So if you're investing the same amount regularly, men and women should end up with the same retirement outcome, but we know that that's not the case. There is still a gap, and they're across very traditional male-dominated industries, but it's also for the undervaluation of care. We know that caring duties fall predominantly to women, and that may be through choice. It may be the choice to become a mother and stay at home and look after the kids. It may be through an economic decision for your family. It may be through circumstance and you don't feel that you have much choice. But we do know women are generally the ones that will take care of children and do a lot of elder care later in life. Now, those moments where women step back from the workforce create these gaps in that earning capacity, which create, again, another gap when you get to retirement. So we've seen the government recently introduced a superannuation guarantee on government paid parental, which is just phenomenal, something we've been working for about 10 years now. So the whole industry is absolutely thrilled. But we need to encourage employers to do that as well. So Aware Super pays SG on your paid parental leave, so the entire time that you're away. And I think if you value a female workforce, and actually maybe it's not just women who should be taking paid parental, maybe we should normalise both parents, whoever they are, to be taking time to spend it with their kids. That's a real gift. So how do we normalise taking paid parental and making it not a burden on you when you get to retirement, and that there is continuity of that superannuation during that time? Firstly, I'd like to commend the current government for paying SG on the government paid parental. It makes a parental leave, it makes a huge difference, but I think it is the first step in many that we need to take. I think there's definitely that encouraging employers to also do the same. Then it becomes measures around how do we make the system fair? And there's fair for all, but in particular, how do we balance the scales between those who have a lot and then potentially those who don't? And I think there's measures that we could take around tax, in particular, whether you might take the tax on higher balances, but put that back into the system for those who don't have the capacity to earn as much. And that could be, there's one around the carers co-payment or carers credit, where you might pay a certain amount back into accounts for those who have had to take on caring duties, whether that be children or elder care. There are things that actually help us close the pay gap. It's things like access to quality childcare so that women can get back into the workforce and start earning again. And the last one is really thinking about homelessness. Older women today who are retiring today are retiring with significantly less than men. There's a couple of things at play here. They haven't had superannuation their entire careers. So superannuation was introduced only in the 90s. And then many of them have taken on a predominant amount of caring duties. And what we're finding First stat is that only 1 in 5 older women actually feel confident about retiring, and I would urge any woman to come and get that help, make some great choices and really maximise the rules as they are today for you. But we really do need to think about this growing number of women who are retiring with absolutely nothing and finding themselves homeless or living in rental situations that are either overcrowded or unstable. And we need to think about how do we make the cost of living more broadly more reasonable for humans, but in particular these women not leave them in that situation where they're choosing where they live or where they eat in retirement. So one thing I'd like you to take away from watching this is, number one, superannuation is pretty cool. It's not scary. It's actually a fantastic place to work, especially Australian superannuation system and the fact that it's predominantly member-led and that we're really willing to lean in and advocate on things that really matter, whether that be climate and energy transition, but really important issues like gender equality and equality for all in that superannuation system. So it's a pretty cool place to work, very innovative and a lot of fun. But the one key thing, if nothing else, you watch this, please walk away and just do one thing with your super. Just a little thing, doesn't need to be much, but the first step is something that you'll never regret and you will thank yourself later.